Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we've got a 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Westin HDX Grille Guard. Adding the grille guard to the front of your truck is not only going to be a stylish thing, but it's going to be practical. There's many different reasons of why people like to put grille guards on. Most of the reason is typically for style. They like the way they look on the front of the truck. It gives it a more rugged, more of a farm style look. But this is actually going to do some good to be able to protect the front of your truck. If you get into a small collision or something like that, whether it's maybe a big chunk of ice or something coming at you on the highway, or a tire, something like that, it's going to hit your grille guard and not the grill of your truck. You may look at the price of this grille guard and think, wow, that's really, really expensive to have to replace or to have to fix, whatever. Everything behind it, I guarantee you, costs more than the grille guard itself. We are going to have some rubber bumpers here on either side, just in case you are to bump into something, or if you have to push something on the lighter side. I wouldn't necessarily say you can use this to push heavier items because of the way that it's attached. It's more than strong enough to hold itself up and to deflect those things that may come in contact with it. But the way that it's attached on here, I would not recommend pushing something super heavy like a round bale or anything like that. The version we have in front of us today is going to be the polished stainless steel edition. We have some other colors on our website if you want to go with a gloss or a matte black. This one's also going to have the stainless steel punch plate in the middle, which definitely helps to show off the flash of this. You can get it without this punch plate in those different colors and in the stainless steel if you don't like that extra flare there in the middle. The other thing is that this is all one solid piece. Everything on this is welded together, and the reason why I say that is there are some editions on our website that are going to be a three-piece, so you'll have the middle section and then two side sections that you'll have to bolt all together. I would say if I was going to put one on my truck, I would probably put the fully welded one. It comes in a massive package so that you can just bolt your brackets on, lift this up into place, and get it bolted on. The way that this grille guard is going to install, it's going to have two brackets, one on either side, and it's going to be on the outside of your toe loops that will bolt to the side of your frame rail. You're going to have another bracket that's going to be right here on top of the bumper that will also bolt to a pre-existing bolt on the back side of the bumper, so you don't have to drill any holes. The only modifications to your truck that you will have to make in order to get this installed is you'll see in here that if you look at your truck, there's going to be a decorative plastic piece in here that covers that opening. You're just going to have to cut that out. In your instructions, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but in your instructions, they have you have a very finite amount of plastic that you're cutting out. I think it looks a lot cleaner if you just go ahead and cut the whole thing out. It looks a lot more uniform to me, and everything fits perfect. To begin our installation, we're going to need to get the front grille off of our truck because we have some brackets that we need to mount behind the bumper to help support the front of our grille guard. To get our front grille off, we've got some push pin fasteners on here. This plastic piece right here on top needs to come off so that we can get to the hardware on top of the grill. So just take a flathead screwdriver, or if you have a trim panel tool, those work well too. What you want to do is you want to pop out the center, just lift up on it. There's usually a little tab right here that you can see that a screwdriver fits in. Pop that out and then pop the base out. Once you get all those fasteners out, take this, move it. I may end up having to take these two screws out in order to get this out all the way. Then we'll take a 10mm socket, remove the 4 screws that are holding the top of our grill on. Now we need to remove the front grill. In the past, from having to take some of these off for different flat toe setups, this can be very, very intimidating because you got to pull pretty hard to get it to release. But we're going to start by getting these top tabs pulled off because they can make you think that it's not wanting to come off, but really it's just holding on by a few little plastic tabs. So we've got that removed. If you can sneak your hands in here, we're just going to pull, you just want to pull straight out. Helps to have a trim panel tool too, to get some of these more sensitive areas. Just want to be very careful because all of this is plastic. I do not like how these are designed with this chrome long piece that goes here and here. It makes it super difficult to remove. Once you get those fasteners released, looks like we may have, yeah, we've got a couple more down here at the bottom. I think the most difficult thing about it is that everything's tied together, and because you've got some clips on the sides, some clips in the middle, you gotta have, what I found is if you release the tabs on these pieces right here, which I just stuck a trim panel tool behind here and popped this tab loose. If you pop these ends loose, the front comes off a little bit easier. We'll just set this off to the side. Now we're going to take a 1/2 inch socket on the inside of your bumper here. Your instructions can kind of be a little confusing because they tried to make it easier by taking the bumper off to show you where these parts go. But for me personally, it made it a little bit more confusing because we're not taking the bumper off, so you're not really looking at the same thing. But right in on the inside of our bumper, we have 2 bolts here and 2 bolts over here. We're going to use the outermost bolt, and then our bracket that has a P on it that looks just like this. You'll notice there's a more rounded tab and a more square tab. The rounded tab is the one we're going to use to go down and attach to this outermost bolt. We'll take a 1/2 inch wrench, get this removed. I'm going to leave this fairly loose for now. What we can do later on, if we need to come back, we can always sneak a socket in behind these fins to be able to tighten that back up. Once you've got both your brackets installed, what you want to do is take a tape measure, measure from the outside of this bracket to the outside of this bracket, and you want it to be about 41 and just over a 1/4 inch. It says 41.3 in the instructions, but obviously tape measures don't work like that. So just a little bit over a 1/4 inch and you should be okay. Once you get it to that point, which we have, we'll go ahead and tighten down our hardware. And when you're measuring that, make sure that you're giving each bracket the same amount of distance from side to side. You want them to be even, otherwise it's not going to match up to your grill guard when we put it back on here. Now we can take our grill, we're going to put it back up into place. Then we're going to take our hardware, put it back up into place to secure our grill. Down by your toe loops, what we're going to do, according to your instructions, they're going to want you to cut out a very specific area here. Based off of the size of the brackets that we're going to have to put in here, we're just going to cut this whole thing out. You can see I got a little line started here, so we're just going to cut right along the top here, cut all this out, make a 90 here, come down. It looks so much cleaner if you don't try to keep any of those pieces in there. So what I did was just gave myself a couple of starting points, and then I can take my knife, and this plastic is actually pretty pliable. We're just going to take it and run it along and cut out this opening. With that plastic piece trimmed out, we'll just grab it, toss it off to the side. We won't need it anymore. We'll work on getting this foam decorative piece out. This is also not going to go back into place, so if you need to, you can cut it. Now we're going to take an 18mm socket and we're going to remove the nut off of the one side of our toe loop here, and then on the left side of it, we're going to have to remove a small bolt. Inside the toe loop, there's going to be a weld nut that rear bolt is attached to. We'll get that backed out. And we can wiggle our toe loop around. We're going to pull the factory bolt out. And we're going to take the bracket that looks like this. You'll have the 2 holes here. This is a support bracket that's going to go under our frame. We'll slide it up underneath here. And we're going to take one of the long bolts that comes in your kit. We're going to slide it through that hole, that same hole that we just took the that long bolt out of for our toe loop. Slide that bolt all the way through. To go in that weld nut on our toe loop, you'll want to use a flat washer and a split lock washer with one of your shorter bolts and thread that in place. Now on the other side, we're going to have a bracket that is labeled D that looks like this. It's going to have a support brace in there. You're you're going to want it to look just like this. So you have these 3 holes here, you have these 3 holes here. This little tail, that's going to go on the outside of the truck, or the outside of the frame rail. We're going to slide this in and over that stud. Then we're going to follow that up with a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. Now we're going to take another bolt with a flat washer on it. This is going to connect this bracket we just put on to the first bracket we put on. You want to slide that under. I like to put it on the from the inside of the truck going out so that I can hopefully get a torque wrench on the end of that nut a little bit easier. Then I'm going to put a flat washer on, a lock washer, and a nut. Once you get the one side done, you want to repeat that process on the other side. Again, if you're going based off the instructions, it's going to show you how to do the driver's side, but it will not show you how to do the passenger side. The passenger side is kind of confusing, only in that where you put the bolts and stuff like that is kind of going to change. So on the passenger side, if you can see down through here, there's 3 bolts that are going to be on the passenger side on this bracket, but on the driver's side there's only 2. Well, where those other 2 bolts are is going to be on that little S-shaped bracket that goes underneath our frame. So the sides of the frame rails are the same on both sides of the vehicle. So just make sure that the left side of your frame rail on this side looks the same as the left side of the frame rail on that side. Now with an extra set of hands, we've got Scott and Ian here helping us out. We're going to take the smaller Allen head bolts that come in your kit, and those are going to go in the top brackets we mounted on top of the bumper. We're going to go from the outside of our grill guard. We'll do this on both sides, and then we can start putting our hardware in the bottom. Now we can take our larger flathead bolts with our Allen keys in there, take the conical tooth washers, we're going to slide those through our bracket, follow it up with our flange nuts. We'll put 3 in here and 3 on the other side. Now what we're going to do, now that we have all of our hardware in place, what we can go through and do is we want to make sure that it looks exactly how we want it to look. You may want yours a little bit bent in or pulled out all the way. We're just going to go through, kind of find a middle of the road spot, and then we'll come through and tighten everything down. Once you get everything tightened underneath by your toe loops, you want to come back with a torque wrench and torque it down to the specifications in the instructions. Well, the way I got this to line up correctly is I measured from here to the front of this little trim piece, and then I did the same measurement over on the other side, made sure they were the same, and that's how I know it's even. You're not going to be able to move this thing side to side because the brackets are keeping it from doing that. But what you want to do is you do want to make sure that it's clear of like your headlights and stuff like that. You may have to make some other adjustments if you are interfering with some of this stuff. But we can see our headlights and our blinkers are both clear. We can go ahead and take a 8mm Allen head key. You do get some in your kit. We just have these to put on the electric ratchet here. We'll tighten these down. Now we've got our grill guard finished up. I did notice one thing. In order to put this plastic piece back in on top of our radiator, we're going to have to take the 2 screws out of here using a T15 Torx bit. We'll slide this off of here. And then we can take our piece, put it on, just like that, and then slide this handle back on. Well guys, once you get everything buttoned back up, that's going to do it for our installation and look at the Westin HDX Grille Guard for the front of our 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 1500.